Why does Dumbledore never tell anyone he's gay? Why does it never come up? Well, the answer depends on what media analysis lens you are using to answer that question. Hello, welcome to the party. Today, I want to talk about Doylist and Watsonian analysis and how those can be used to tackle a variety of different media questions. I know, it seems thrilling, but it's not as dense as it sounds. Real fast, in case you missed it, I just launched a Patreon page. There's a link down to that below. Along with some other stuff, I'll be posting a video of all my ridiculous bloopers for this video there for my Patreons, so that'll be fun. So let's begin with definitions. Doylist and Watsonian are a reference to the author of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, and the in-universe narrator of Sherlock Holmes, John Watson. In Watsonian analysis, a media question is tackled from the perspective within the narrative itself, in isolation, self-contained by the logic of the fictional world, the way John Watson would address a question. In Doylist analysis, a media question is tackled from the perspective outside of the narrative, with an understanding of circumstances surrounding the creation of the work within the broader media and cultural context that form the work, the way that Arthur Conan Doyle would have answered the question. I kind of love that these terms are named after Sherlock Holmes, but also kind of bummed, because they could just as easily have been called Tolkienist and Bilbonian, a missed opportunity if you ask me. For example, Blue's Clues. For those who aren't of an age where they have seen a fair amount of Blue's Clues, it's a children's TV show from the late 90s and early 2000s where a man named Steve and his blue puppy named Blue solve little mysteries. It's cute. In season 4 of the show, though, Steve is replaced by a new character named Joe. So, the Watsonian in-universe explanation for this is that Steve is moving away to college, and Joe is his brother that is moving into the house while he's away. The Doylist explanation is that Steve Burns, the actor who played Steve, wanted to move on from the role after 6 years, so they hired a new actor to replace him. Or, Percy Jackson and the Olympians follows Percy Jackson and his friends as he finds out that he is a demigod, a child of Poseidon, and goes on a quest to save the world. Nearly all of the demigods in the series have ADD or ADHD and dyslexia. The Watsonian explanation for this is that demigod brains are hardwired for ancient Greek and combat against monsters, and their dyslexia and ADHD stems from that. The Doylist explanation is that the author's son has ADHD and dyslexia, and so he wrote the heroes of his book to be like his son, because Uncle Rick is kind of wonderful. Or in Harry Potter, which I'm not going to give a summary of because you know what's up with Harry Potter. The character of Albus Dumbledore, yeah, it's time to talk about Dumbledore. Specifically, a 2007 interview where J.K. Rowling revealed that Dumbledore was gay, despite this never being directly stated in the books. It's hinted at, if you know where to look, but never directly confirmed, and apparently it will never be directly stated in any of the new movies either, even though he's in them, and the man he was in love with is in them, and... Now, there isn't explicitly given reasons for these things, so here's my best guess. The Watsonian explanation could be many things. That Dumbledore was just a private person, that Harry is unobservant, that Dumbledore stayed in the closet because he feared homophobic backlash, that it just never came up. The Doylist explanation could be that J.K. Rowling just didn't think of Dumbledore being gay until after publication, or J.K. Rowling feared homophobic backlash, or that there was concern about the book and the movies not selling well if Dumbledore being gay was in the text itself, and so it was censored by publishers and studios. We don't know for sure. It's important here to note that Doylist and Watsonian analysis doesn't include the idea of canon, or real reality. Doylist explanations can be backed up by fact or just speculation. Watsonian answers can be confirmed and canon in the text, or can be fan conjecture and headcanons. Now, the question becomes, which of these is better? And the answer to that is neither? Both? It depends on what you're doing. Both Watsonian and Doylist explanations can be very useful, but in different settings, and misapplying them to the wrong setting tends to be super unhelpful. Watsonian explanations are generally best suited to fanworks, headcanons, fanfiction, discussing plot holes, and that sort of fun fan discussion. If I'm writing a fan fiction about Dumbledore, I'm going to use Watsonian explanations to tackle how his sexuality is handled. I want to explore how this question can be answered within the logic of the world. Doylist explanations are useful for critical analysis, criticism, and critique. If I want to write a critique of how J.K. Rowling handles, or doesn't handle, minority representation in her work, the Doylist analysis is going to be much more useful. And it's important that people apply these correctly. If someone wants to talk about the poor LGBT representation in Harry Potter, they want to discuss things within a Doylist lens. So coming at them with a Watsonian, well, LGBT students were probably at Hogwarts, but Harry just didn't notice, is unhelpful because it's using the wrong analytic lens. The Doylist response is, well, Harry could have noticed them if J.K. Rowling had written him noticing, so that solves nothing. Harry could have known Dumbledore was gay. It could have been revealed in Book 7. It could have added to the overall themes of love and forgiveness in the books. Those were creative choices of the author, and so a Watsonian answer doesn't address the Doylist critique. And similarly, if someone is discussing a headcanon they have about, I don't know, how the dorms in the Gryffindor common room accommodate disabled students who can't climb stairs, throwing in a Doylist, well, it's just not something J.K. Rowling was thinking about, so the dorms don't do anything special, stop talking about it, is kind of not the point. It doesn't add anything to the discussion, it's just a dead end, and is kind of rude. So yeah, use your analytic lenses correctly, my friends. That's your basic overview on Doylist and Watsonian analysis. Thrilling stuff. So, a big shout out to all my Patreons. Like I said earlier, I've just gotten started, and already having so much support has been amazing. A special shout out to Adrian Alvarez, Sebastian Warren, Heba Assad, and Vextifer for being the best. I'll be uploading the blooper reel of me stumbling over my words like a goofball this entire video very soon to my Patreon page. If you're a Patreon, make sure that you swing by and vote for the next video topic as well. One last thank you to everyone watching. This is the end of the video. If you liked this video and want to hear more of me, a queer millennial feminist, ranting and rambling about things that I like for a while, do all the normal YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, maybe check out the Patreon page. But definitely come back for more videos in the future.